Hey friends, welcome to my channel. I'm AmandaMuse and today we are discussing all things Where the Crawdads Sing, the book, the movie. Did you see the trailer? I was literally breathless watching it. I am so excited. But first and foremost, a big thank you to Where the Crawdads Sing and Sony Pictures Releasing Canada for sponsoring today's video. I am even more excited that I get to take two of my very dear friends to the movie premiere. Do you ever read a book that just changes your life? It feels like it anyhow, where you recommend it to everybody and then they make a movie? Like I am so excited. Are you familiar with this little label here on the back of the book? Anytime I see this, Reese's Book Club, you just know it's gonna be a good read. And then add in Reese's production company, Hello Sunshine. Recipe for success. It feels like everything she touches turns to gold. But before we talk about the movie, I want to just reminisce a little bit about the book. If you haven't read the book, I am not going to be spoiling anything for you. And if you have read the book, I'm certainly not going to spoil anything once I see the movie. So no worries there. I don't think I can even jump into talking about the book without mentioning that Where the Crawdads Sing has sold over 12 million copies worldwide and holds a record for the most weeks at #1 on the New York Times hardcover fiction bestsellers list. So there's that small little thing. I believe I read this book in 2019 and I had heard that it was like a little bit of a slow start. But oh my goodness, does this book ever have a beautiful slow burn? And once it starts to pick up speed, it is just this magical story that unfolds. So as I was sitting here reflecting, trying to remind myself and remember key elements of the book, because 2 years is a long time. I barely remember what I did earlier this week, you know? But I could remember a few key things. First of all, Kaya, the marsh girl. Don't you just want to like pick her up and put her in your pocket and take care of her? So when I think about the book, I get this sense, like a feeling, right? It takes place in North Carolina in the marsh. First of all, I've never been there, but I kind of feel like I have in the way that this book sort of transports you to this place. And then I feel a really deep sadness and loneliness for sweet Kaya. As a mother, as a woman floating around the earth, there is something that I think so many of us can relate to in Kaya's story. From the element of loneliness, straight off the bat, there is this concept where Kaya is alone and she's basically raising herself in the marsh, no word of a lie. And just that feeling of loneliness, but then that doesn't entirely overtake you because there are these characters, these people that come into her life like Jumpin', like Mabel. Oh, I just love them so much. Like Tate. There are these people that come into her world and fill her up with love and remind her that she's not alone in the world. And then simultaneously, there is this beautiful backdrop of nature. So as I was thinking about the book, I kept thinking about feathers. Why am I thinking about feathers? Now keep in mind, if you've just read the book, you're like, obviously Amanda, hello, feathers are a huge part of this. But Kaya's character is absolutely enthralled with nature, with the shells, with the insects, with the birds that are in her marsh, right? And so much of the actual surroundings of her home play such a strong, beautiful undercurrent of a message throughout the book. And so I'm really excited to see how much of that is going to be portrayed in the movie, because that's hard, you know, when you are reading a book and you've built this whole world in your imagination. You don't want to be let down, you know, when you go see the movie in theaters. And I mean, the cast are almost all entirely new actors. Like, I'm not familiar with hardly any of them, which is even more exciting because you kind of feel like, what are we about to watch here? If Reese Witherspoon's production company felt that these were the best people to play in this movie, I'm intrigued. You can't help but fall in love with little sweet Kaya and all the little hurdles she has to get through just to get through her day to day. And you can't help but then want to root for Kaya as she gets older. And the story starts to evolve to the story of endurance and a story of perseverance. And you just like, I just get like goosebumps just thinking about this story of a woman who transforms from a little girl to a woman and all of the things she has to go through. Naturally, as a human walking the earth, we tend to love at some point. And so there is this amazing love story that happens. And then it kind of happens, there's a little muddling and the love story takes a turn. I don't want to give anything away here. And it's a murder mystery, friends. There are so many incredible things happening within this book, and yet somehow the author, Delia Owens, manages to weave this tale together that flows so beautifully, almost like the waters through the marsh, that keeps you entranced, enthralled. I would think about the book all day while I was going about my other life responsibilities. You know that feeling when you have that book on your bedside table? And I don't know about you, but I always read before bed. It's how I wind down at the end of the day. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was trying to find ways to get to bed earlier so I could keep reading my book. And I, no joke, recommend this book to everybody. And most people that I've recommended it to also love it. I know my aunt loved it. A couple of my friends have read it and loved it. Oh my gosh, Where the Crawdads Sing. It is a true story of survival and resilience, and I cannot wait to see how this comes to life on the big screen. I don't know about you, but like I haven't seen that many movies in theaters lately. I feel like we're slowly getting back into the world, and what better way to celebrate this movie than to take your girls and go see it. So I'm so excited. I'm going to get changed out of these cozy clothes and get ready. We're gonna get gussied up and we're gonna go for dinner, and we're literally making this an event. Without further ado, let's get dressed and let's go see this movie. And then we're gonna come back at the end and let you know what we thought about it. And what's great is that of my 3 friends, I read the book, but I read it like 2-3 years ago. My friend Anna just listened to the audiobook and she said it was amazing, and that it was, the narration was like incredible because there was even a North Carolina accent. And then my friend Stephanie hasn't read the book. She was trying to get it read before we were going to the premiere, but she's like, I ran out of time. We're all moms. They're also teachers. So, you know, we have just kind of wrapped up that part of our lives for the season. And so she ran out of time, but I think it's like the perfect trio to be able to say, you know, do we love the movie because we read the book? Because she didn't read it yet. So I'm excited. All right, let's get dressed. Girls' night is officially upon us. Let me show you what I'm wearing. We have a romper, very cute. Comfortable. Somehow my nails ended up matching. That was a fluke. Shoes. There's always this part of me that would love for my house to be in complete like order before I go for a girls' night, but that is not realistic, and do not let that stop you. You put those clothes on, you freshen up, and you get out on the town.
I'm a natural.
You are.
Act amazing. Weapon of choice. This one goes to 100%. You got, what you got? M&M's? Yes. We have all of our beautiful blended drinks, so cheers. Cheers.
Right off the bat,
having read the book, and I must admit, I was saying to the girls before, like, I kind of have forgotten the ending or some of the specifics that tied it all together. Even though the part where they're in court is such a huge part of it, I somehow forgot about that. Like, I focused more on Kaya and her relationship, like, with nature, and then just her being alone, and that's so terrifying, and then the boys.
The two men situation.
Yes.
Like, but I really was hating one of them.
Oh, you have to love to hate one of the dudes, and you know who we're talking about. Like, so we're all moms. So that mom element, every time the little baby Kaya, like little marsh girl, was running somewhere, my heart just like, I couldn't.
Such long, beautiful hair.
Her bare feet.
To braid her hair.
The acting, the little girls. Yes, I think they had like 2 ages, and then they had grown-up Kaya. They were all like unbelievable.
It was nice to actually catch a film with people I hadn't seen, you know, act in a lot of other movies.
Yes, because Daisy Edgar Jones.
She's amazing.
I mean, if you can make me cry.
Yeah. And that like sweet innocence of first love.
Yes.
Like you can't help but just be like, oh. And I think there's something like, maybe it's just me, I often like how can I relate to this character? But that feeling of I'm going to make it on my own and persevere, and the part with the book part, like I can't without giving anything away.
It's really hard not to give away the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it is really one of those movies you don't want to know too much going in, which is why it's hard to talk about, because it really is a nice.
That's why it worked out well for me. I knew nothing.
And sometimes when they do make a movie out of a book that you've loved, there can be parts of it that you feel like, oh, they didn't miss that part, or but I feel they were able to touch on all the elements.
Yes.
And for me, I was like, please make the nature part a huge part of this. It was so beautiful.
Yeah,
all
I
the
mean,
feathers.
I love seeing it on the big screen. I just feel like so many movies now just go straight to subscription services, which are great, but to see a beautifully shot movie, they really do make nature one of the main characters.
Cinematography was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and
really good.
having like had some space between reading the book and the movie, I kept thinking about feathers, and I didn't know why. And then I was like, why do I keep thinking about feathers? There's got to be something with birds.
Feather Boy.
And Feather Boy. Oh, it's so good. I want a Feather Boy.
I mean, I watch a lot of movies.
She is my person.
I'm a big movie person.
Yeah.
And I would honestly probably give it 9 or 10 out of 10. Like, I loved it. I mean, I just listened to the book, so it's really fresh in my mind, and I just thought they did such a beautiful job. I loved it.
Yeah, it was like cinematic experience worthy with all of that nature, and it felt grand.
And the acting was phenomenal.
So good.
Must see.
Must see.
Must see.
But now we gotta go talk about all the spoilers. So see you guys in a bit.
I'm home from my girls' night and I'm just like all aglow from that movie. It was so good. There's nothing like loving a book and then loving the movie when it comes to life. So tell me, are you planning to go see Where the Crawdads Sing in theaters? Because if you are, you can use the link in my video description to buy your tickets in advance and start planning your own girls' night out. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. All the little things. A big thank you to Where the Crawdads Sing and Sony Pictures Releasing Canada for sponsoring this video. I hope you enjoyed a little sneak peek into a night out, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!